All right, I'm using my platform and my small level of influence for good. Let's just all agree to stop applying to these types of jobs so that they stop showing up on Upwork. Well, that's my plan. I'm not saying all of these jobs are scams or spams in particular, but these are the types of jobs that I typically or try to avoid or tend to avoid on Upwork for whatever reason. If we all stop applying to these jobs, there won't be any demand for it, and maybe they'll stop showing up. So, before I actually get into it, because I know I'm going to get some people commenting, if you have to ask me or somebody else whether or not a job that you saw is a scam or a spam, whatever, more likely than not, it probably is. Trust your instinct. There's tons of jobs that get uploaded onto Upwork daily. Move on. It's not worth it. Okay, so number one, a low hourly rate. All right, and the reason why I'm not going to give you like a specific number as to what a low hourly rate entails is because it's different for everybody, right? It varies from person to person. A low hourly rate for me does not mean a low hourly rate for you, and vice versa. All right, but let's be honest. If a job on Upwork, right, for this is for a media buyer, but if a job on Upwork says like $3 an hour, you should not be applying. Okay, why are you applying? Now, I said this before, but I don't work on an hourly basis. So you might think, why does the hourly rate matter if you don't work on an hourly basis? And I'll tell you why. It matters to me because it tells me what type of person the client is, right? Like if the client makes it very clear in some way, shape, or form that they are a cheap client, I do not apply. Not worth it. Okay, trust me, you don't want cheap clients. Okay, because the thing with cheap clients is their number one concern is not really the value that you provide, but how cheap they can get you to provide that value. Like these types of people are usually the hardest to please and the easiest to anger. Trust me, learn from my experiences. These aren't the types of people that you want to work with. Okay, it's not worth it. Now, with that said, just because a job is lower than your typical hourly rate does not mean it, won't be a good fit. So it kind of goes both ways. Let's say my hourly rate is $17 an hour, and I see a job with a max of 16, um, but it's a good fit. Like I read through the job description, it's a perfect fit. I think I would be great for the job. I would still apply, but what I would do is when I click apply and I get ready to submit my proposal, what I would do is I would right here where you put in your hourly rate, I would put in 17. I would just ignore the limit of 16 and just put in my hourly rate of 17, right? For example, right? And the reason why I do this, and again, you have to make sure that that you're a good fit for the job. But the reason why I'm okay with applying to some jobs where my hourly rate is higher than their proposed rate, for example, is because sometimes, like some clients have absolutely no idea how to price um, some things or what their budget needs to be for certain projects. They have no idea what to pay or what the market value is. So they kind of just use this as like a placeholder and they can be convinced otherwise. So yeah, that's just a quick example. Don't take the hourly range too seriously. But I would take it seriously if it's, something like this. All right, next. So I don't apply to jobs where the clients have invited too many freelancers to apply. So for example, if you click on a job, I clicked one right here. If you scroll down to the activity on the job section, you'll see the number of proposals that was sent to this job. You'll see how long ago the client viewed the activity on the job. And then right here, you'll see interviewing and then also the invites sent. So for this part, I do not apply to jobs where the invites sent, like the number is a lot. So I couldn't really find an example live, but I pulled up a picture. Now this is kind of exaggerating, but you can kind of get the point. I would not apply to jobs where the invite sent section is like this. And again, obviously this number is exaggerated, but even if it was like 10 or 15 or whatever, 5 even, I typically don't apply. And again, same with the interviewing. If the client is already interviewing some clients, I try not to apply. And also, I guess while we're on this image, proposals, I am not applying to jobs where there's 50 plus proposals. Okay, it's just, I'm putting myself in a disadvantaged situation. There's no point of me applying to a job if it already has 50 plus proposals in it. Even if there's no one interviewing, even if there's no invite sent, I'm not applying to a job where there's already 50 other people who applied to that job. There's no point in me putting myself in that situation. There's tons of new jobs that get uploaded daily. It's not worth it. I think personally it's a waste of connects. All right, next. I don't apply to jobs where the job description asks for some sort of personal information on my end, where they say, hey, contact me with this phone number or email me through this email, whatever it is. I don't apply to those jobs. If a client asks you in their job description or even in their messages to contact them outside of Upwork before you get on a call, before some sort of contract is set up, run away, turn the other way, apply to another job, ignore them, whatever it is. Trust me, don't do this. All right, next. This one I couldn't really find a personal example, and I can't really be bothered to spend the time to look for one, but I do not apply to jobs where clients ask for free work or free samples in the job description. Sometimes you'll find jobs where they say, blah blah blah. They'll have like their job description, whatever, and then at the end they'll say something like, "We're gonna ask you for a free sample, some sort of sample piece." For example, in the social media management niche, which is where I'm in, some jobs will ask you for to create a sample graphic post or a sample video edit for them. And then if that sample is a good fit, then they'll contact you or, get back to you or get on a call with you. Then they'll set up a contract, whatever. Don't listen to that. I don't apply to these jobs. Ignore it, move on, get paid for your work. Do not do free work. Again, do not do free work. I guess maybe unless that's sort of like your thing, if you're brand new and your thing is to kind of do free work to, get that first client and build that experience, maybe then. But even then, I would say tread carefully. I just wouldn't do any sort of free work whatsoever. All right, value yourself, understand your value, get paid for your work, right? And the more jobs you apply to, the better you'll get at kind of doing this. But what you're kind of doing is you're using the job description that you see on Upwork, or pretty much this entire page, right? You're using this whole thing to figure out what type of person the client is. All right, I don't really look at this to just look at the job description and that's it. All right, I look at from top to bottom everything, and all of these things give hints on what type of person the client who posted this job is like. Right, starting from the top, right, the job description, all the way to the bottom to other open jobs by this client. I use all this information to figure out what type of person the client is, and that helps me determine whether or not I want to apply. And I'm telling you, if you go through a lot of these things a bunch of times and talk with a bunch of different clients, you'll get good at figuring out what a bad client's job description looks like, or job profile looks like. Okay, so another quick piece of advice, something that I would avoid. To be honest, I don't really see these types of jobs as much anymore, but when I first started out, there used to be a ton of these jobs, so maybe someone will come across them. But do not apply to jobs where they ask you to convert like a JPEG file to a PDF file, or vice versa, or like a PNG to a PDF, whatever it is. I forgot, again, I don't see these types of jobs anymore, but I used to see them a lot. Don't apply to these jobs. These are scams. They're scams. Like if you go through a job description and it says, I will pay you $50 to convert my JPEG file to a PDF file, don't apply to it, right? Most of the time, what I found is that the reason why they post these types of jobs is because they want you to download some sort of file that they have. Yeah, don't do it. Nobody's paying you $50 to convert a JPEG to a PDF. All right, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. All right, and another note and another piece of advice is this part right here. Okay, take this very seriously. Right. So if you scroll down, some jobs, not all of them, but some clients will have like reviews. So if you scroll down, you'll see some reviews that other freelancers have left this client. Take this seriously, okay? Like read through these reviews, again, because it shows what type of person the client actually is. Okay, like take these reviews seriously. I'm trying to scroll down and kind of find, okay, here it is. I'm trying to find like a client with bad reviews. Take these reviews seriously, because here's the thing, with Upwork, it takes a lot. It takes, like, you have to be a really bad client for a freelancer to give you a bad review on Upwork. Okay, it's the truth. It doesn't take much for a freelancer to give clients a 5-star review on Upwork. It's just how it goes. I don't really know how else to explain it. Unless you're an actual really bad client, you're most likely going to get a 5-star review. So if a client has a bunch of low reviews, it means something. It's really hard for clients to actually get like a 1-star or like a bad review from freelancers on Upwork. I don't know why. Maybe it's because like I guess some freelancers think that, oh, if I give my client a 5-star review, they'll give me a 5-star review back, something like that. But it's typically really hard unless you did something wrong, like something really bad. Unless you're an actual really bad client, it's hard to get less than a 5-star review. So if I see a job and clients have less than like 4 stars, like they have a 1-star rating, I'm sorry, like I'm not applying. Again, not worth it. There's tons of jobs on Upwork that you can apply to that would be a good fit. Not worth applying to these jobs where you have the potential to, work with a toxic client. I see a lot of people actually like quit Upwork because, they get so desperate to, for a job that they accept any condition, and they allow clients to be toxic. And then they get that toxic client and then they get a bad review as their first job. And then it really affects their profile. It makes it much harder to, grow. So then they just quit. I see that happen a bunch of times. Don't let that be you. Find the right fit, find the right job. If you can't find the right job on Upwork that day, it's probably just that day. Look at it tomorrow, you'll find more jobs. Okay, and another small piece of advice is to check their other open jobs. You can check, so if you click on a job, you can see what other jobs the client has open. What I like to do is just kind of read through it. And the reason for that is because I look at the other jobs and find some sort of flaws in there as well. So for example, I found, like, not this job specifically, but I found jobs in the past where like the hourly rate was like, or the hourly rate on the job said like, $30 an hour. But then I checked like about the client, and then it said like, $7 an hour or something. And I got confused as why the average, hourly rate for them was much lower than, what they proposed in the job description. So I looked at their other jobs, and then I found that, pretty much every other job that they posted, their hourly rate was like $3 an hour, $5 an hour, $6 an hour. And it was for like the same type of social media job. It's just that for some reason they posted a new job. I guess they didn't get they weren't getting the freelancers that they wanted in that price range. So they jumped from looking for $4 an hour freelancers to $30 an hour freelancers. And I didn't apply to that job because that looks fishy. So yeah, and I wouldn't have known that if I didn't look at the, other open jobs. So I would go through those as well. But yeah, the more jobs you go through that are from the client, the more data you have on, what type of client you'd be working with. This is just a personal thing, but I don't apply to jobs where the job description is like one sentence or, one line, kind of like this. I don't know. This is just kind of like a personal thing. But for me, it's just like, if they can't be bothered to write more than one line for their job description, they probably can't be bothered to read my proposal that I'm going to send them. All right, and an inside piece of advice that I learned when I first started out, again, I don't know if this is still a thing because, I don't even apply to these jobs anyways. But what I learned in the beginning was if there's a job where it's just like 1 or 2 lines, and you can tell it's not like it's unprofessional, like it's just one sentence. Usually it's a freelancer who's trying to collect and copy your proposals or your PDFs, your cover letters, whatever, and use it for themselves. For me, I don't apply to jobs where it's not professional to some degree. I'm not saying it has to be, like a full essay and, super, super professional or anything like that, but one line, one sentence, I'm not really applying. And there is the threat of this just being a freelancer looking to kind of just copy your proposal, copy your PDFs, whatever. But yeah, hope this video was able to help some people. Look through job descriptions, take the time. Don't just look at this part, and then just click apply. Read through top to bottom. There's data that you can use on every single, from top to bottom, every single part of the job post has some sort of detail that you can use to figure out what type of client you're working with. And that's what you want. All right, that's just how I look at it. I guess a final piece of advice, and this kind of goes back to the free work part, but don't do any work until there's some sort of contract set up in place. Word of mouth is not good enough. If a client says, yes, I will set up the contract, can you just get started? You say, no, set up the contract and then I'll get started. Do not, please don't trust the words of clients. You may think that they're trustworthy, and maybe they are, but you want to keep things professional. I'm not saying that every client on Upwork is trying to scam you or get free work out of you, but you can't trust the words of clients. You have to make sure that you keep things professional. Do not do anything at all until there's some sort of contract in place. So yeah, that's my final piece of advice. Hope that helped.